The crystal glasses clinked against fine china as my mother set another perfect table for our mandatory Sunday dinner. The Bennett family image had to be maintained, even if some of us, meaning me, weren't living up to expectations. "Emma, darling," my mother called from the dining room, "do try to mention your little website less tonight. Your brother has important news about the company." I smoothed down my simple black dress, bought from my own online boutique, though they didn't know that. At 28, I was the family disappointment, the one who'd walked away from our family's luxury retail empire to start what they called my little internet hobby. The doorbell chimed. My brother Nathan's voice boomed through the foyer, followed by the click of his wife Sophia's designer heels. The golden child had arrived. "There's my successful son," Dad announced, emerging from his study. "How's the expansion going?" Nathan straightened his bespoke suit, probably worth more than what they thought my entire business made in a month. "Closing the deal this week. Bennett Luxury Group is about to become the biggest retail chain in 3 states. If they only knew about the emails I'd received this morning, about the acquisition that would make their expansion look like a corner store opening." "Emma," Sophia air-kissed my cheek, "still playing shop online?" "How quaint." I took a sip of water, hiding my smile. "Something like that." "Speaking of which," Mom interjected, arranging the silverware just so. "Mrs. Harrison mentioned a lovely opening at their corporate office. Perfect for someone with your limited experience." Nathan laughed, the sound echoing through the formal dining room. "Come on, Mom. Emma's too busy being an entrepreneur." "What was it again, sis? Selling secondhand clothes on the internet?" If he only knew about the algorithm I'd developed, the one revolutionizing online retail, the one major companies were desperately trying to acquire, the one that had just made me a billionaire in secret. "Actually, I started, but Dad cut me off. Enough about Emma's hobby. Nathan, tell us more about the expansion. Real business, not this internet nonsense." I thought about the notification I'd received just before dinner. Bennett Luxury Group stock had dropped another 5% today. Their traditional retail model was bleeding money, but they were too proud to see it. "We're acquiring the Riverside Mall properties," Nathan boasted, cutting into his steak. "Prime real estate. Old money. The kind of customers who'd never buy luxury goods online." I bit back a laugh. The latest data from my platform showed that 70% of luxury purchases were now happening digitally. But why spoil their illusions? "That's wonderful, dear," Mom beamed. "Unlike some people, you understand the importance of maintaining our family's reputation." My phone buzzed quietly in my lap. A message from my CFO. "Final papers signed. Acquisition complete. You now own controlling interest in Premier Capital." Premier Capital, the bank financing Nathan's expansion. The bank that was about to call in some very uncomfortable loans. "Emma could learn a lot from you," Dad continued, swirling his expensive bourbon. "Real business is about relationships, handshakes, looking people in the eye, not hiding behind a computer screen." Speaking of relationships, Sophia chimed in. "Bradley Matthews is single again. He's a junior partner at Premier Capital now. Perfect for someone who needs direction." I smiled, thinking of the email I'd received from Bradley last week, begging for a meeting with the mysterious CEO of Nova Digital, my company's public face. He had no idea he was trying to pitch to the same woman he dismissed as not corporate material 3 years ago. "I'm quite happy with my current direction," I said quietly. Nathan snorted. "What direction?" "Your little website barely makes enough to pay rent." Meanwhile, Bennett Luxury is about to announce the biggest expansion in our history. I checked my watch. In exactly 12 hours, Premier Capital would announce a complete audit of all major loans, including the ones Nathan had taken out against inflated property values. How are the mall properties performing? I asked innocently. I heard traditional retail was struggling this quarter. That's because people like you are ruining real shopping, Mom sighed. All this online nonsense. No class, no sophistication. My phone buzzed again. Another message from my CFO. Premier Capital board meeting moved to tomorrow morning. They found the discrepancies. The future is digital, I said, more to myself than them. Either adapt or become obsolete. Listen to her? Nathan laughed. Playing Steve Jobs while the adults run real businesses. Tell me, sis, how many people does your little website employ? 2, 3? Try 15,000 across 3 continents. But they'd learn that soon enough. I do all right, I replied softly. Dad stood, raising his glass. To Bennett Luxury Group's expansion. To real success, built the right way. They all clinked glasses, not noticing that I hadn't raised mine. They never noticed much about me anymore. That was about to change. Oh, Nathan added, almost forgot. We're using your old college fund to secure the expansion loans. Not like you're using it for anything important. I set down my water glass carefully. Interesting choice. If they'd bothered to check, they'd have known that college fund had been empty for months. I'd withdrawn it to buy my first shares of Premier Capital, starting the chain of events that would unfold tomorrow. Don't worry, dear. Mom patted my hand. There's always that job at Harrison's. Much more suitable than this online business fantasy. I stood, gathering my things. I should go. Early meeting tomorrow. With what? Your web designer? Nathan smirked. Something like that. I smiled. By the way, Nathan, when was the last time you reviewed those loan documents from Premier Capital? Thoroughly, I mean. His smirk faltered slightly. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. I shouldered my bag. Vintage Hermans, worth more than his car. Just something to think about before tomorrow's board meeting. As I walked out, I heard Mom ask, "What board meeting?" But I was already closing the door, smiling as my driver opened the car door. Tomorrow would be interesting indeed. The next morning, I sat in my real office, the entire top floor of the Nova Digital headquarters downtown. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a perfect view of the Bennett Luxury Group building across the street, where my family's empire was about to crumble. Premier Capital's board meeting starts in 10 minutes, my assistant Kate informed me, setting down my morning coffee. Nathan Bennett just arrived. He looks anxious. I pulled up the live security feed on my tablet. My brother, his perfect suit slightly rumpled, was pacing the Premier Capital lobby. No swagger today, no smirk. Just the growing realization that something was very wrong. The audit reports? I asked. Kate handed me a folder. Complete. The forensic accountants found everything. Inflated property valuations, hidden debts, creative accounting, all of it. I smiled, remembering Nathan's boast from last night about real business. Real fraud was more like it. Miss Nova, my CFO Michael appeared in the doorway, using my professional name. The other board members have arrived. Should we begin? I stood, straightening my designer suit. One that cost more than my entire family thought I made in a year. Let's not keep them waiting. The Premier Capital boardroom fell silent as I entered. Nathan, halfway through what appeared to be an impassioned defense, froze mid-sentence. Emma? What are you doing here? This is a private meeting, isn't? I took my seat at the head of the table. As majority shareholder of Premier Capital, I think I have every right to be here. The color drained from his face. Majority? What? I nodded to Michael, who distributed copies of the audit report. Let's talk about Bennett Luxury Group's loan applications, shall we? Specifically, the creative math used to secure them. This is ridiculous, Nathan sputtered. You sell clothes online. You can't possibly. Nova Digital, I cut him off, doesn't just sell clothes. We revolutionized e-commerce. That little website you mocked. It processes more luxury sales in an hour than your stores do in a month. The board members were flipping through the reports, their expressions growing darker with each page. Mr. Bennett, one of them spoke up. These discrepancies are significant. Nathan loosened his tie. There must be some mistake. Our family has been with Premier Capital for generations. Yes, I agreed. Which makes the fraud even more disappointing. Fraud? His voice cracked. Emma, you can't seriously. It's Ms. Nova in this room, I corrected. And yes, fraud. Systematic misrepresentation of assets, manipulation of property valuations, and that's just the beginning. I pulled up the real numbers on the boardroom screens. Bennett Luxury Group's true financial state was displayed in brutal detail. The failing stores, the mounting debts, the desperate attempts to maintain the facade of success. The loans are being called in, I announced. All of them. Bennett Luxury Group has 48 hours to provide full payment or collateral of equal value. That's impossible. Nathan stood, his carefully maintained composure shattering. You'll destroy the company, our family's legacy. The company was already destroying itself, I replied calmly. Refusing to adapt, clinging to outdated models, mocking digital innovation while the world moved online. My phone buzzed, a message from Dad. They must have heard. I ignored it. There is one option, I said, sliding a document across the table. Nova Digital is prepared to acquire Bennett Luxury Group at a very generous discount, considering the circumstances. Nathan grabbed the paper, his hands shaking. This is barely 10% of what we're worth. It's twice what you're actually worth, I corrected. The offer expires in 1 hour. After that, we go public with the audit. You planned this, he whispered. All of it. While we thought you were playing at business. I learned from the best. I smiled. Wasn't it Dad who always said, never let them see you coming? The boardroom door burst open. Dad stood there, looking like he'd aged 10 years since dinner last night. Mom hovered behind him. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide her panic. What have you done? Dad demanded. I stood slowly, enjoying the shift in power. I built something real. Something that will survive in the digital age. Unlike your empire of overpriced retail spaces and outdated thinking. By betraying your family? No. I met his gaze steadily. By saving it from itself. The offer stands. Nova Digital acquires Bennett Luxury Group. We digitize the operation, save what can be saved, and bring the family business into the 21st century. Under your control, Mom said softly. Under competent control, I corrected. The choice is yours. Adapt or collapse. The next week unfolded like a perfectly executed business plan, which, of course, it was. Bennett Luxury Group's stock had been suspended from trading after the audit news leaked. My parents' carefully curated social circle was buzzing with whispers about the family's fall from grace. I sat in what used to be my father's office, now part of Nova Digital's expanding headquarters. The view hadn't changed, but everything else had. The integration teams are ready, Kate reported. And your mother is here. Again. I checked the security feed. Mom stood in the lobby, looking lost without her usual air of superiority. 3 visits in a week, a record for someone who'd spent years pretending my business didn't exist. Send her up. She entered cautiously, taking in the transformed space. Gone were the heavy oak furniture and oil paintings of stern-faced Bennett patriarchs. Instead, smart screens displayed real-time sales data, global logistics maps, and the future of retail. "This used to be your grandfather's office," she said softly. "And now, it's mine." I gestured to a chair. "What can I do for you, Mom?" She sat, smoothing her designer dress. Last season's collection, I noticed. The small details that showed how far they'd fallen. "Nathan's leaving for London," she announced. "Sophia filed for divorce yesterday." "Smart woman," I replied. "Getting out before the legal proceedings begin." "Legal? You're pressing charges against your own brother." I pulled up the complete audit report on my tablet. Fraud is fraud, Mom. The SEC doesn't care about family ties. He could go to prison. He should have thought about that before falsifying loan documents. I met her eyes. Or did you think those creative accounting techniques Dad taught him would never catch up? She flinched. Your father was only trying to protect the family legacy. By committing fraud. By teaching Nathan that rules don't apply to Bennett's. I laughed softly. Some legacy. My phone buzzed. Another message from Dad. Probably another attempt to negotiate better terms for the takeover. I ignored it, just like I'd ignored the last dozen. "The country club is talking," Mom said, as if that still mattered. "Mrs. Harrison asked if we'd be giving up our membership." "Actually," I smiled, "Nova Digital just bought the club. We're modernizing it, making it more inclusive." The horror on her face was almost comical. But the traditions are as outdated as Bennett Luxury's business model. I stood, walking to the window. The world changed. Mom, I tried to tell you all for years, but you were too busy mocking my little website to listen. "And now you own everything," she whispered. "Not everything, just the parts worth saving." My phone lit up with an alert. Nova Digital's stock had just hit another record high. The market loved our acquisition strategy, our technology, our vision for the future. "What happens now?" Mom asked. I turned back to face her. "Now, Bennett Luxury Group becomes a division of Nova Digital. We'll salvage what we can, modernize what works, discard what doesn't. The family name will survive, just not the way you all planned. And your brother. Nathan has two choices: cooperate with an SEC investigation in exchange for leniency, or face the full consequences of his actions. His choice." She stood, suddenly looking very old. "We should have listened to you." "Yes," I agreed simply. "You should have." "Your father. He wants to meet. To discuss terms." I smiled. The terms were clear. He can keep his board seat, non-voting, of course, and a modest salary, in exchange for his silence and cooperation. "It's killing him," she said, "watching you dismantle everything he built." "I'm not dismantling it, Mom. I'm evolving it. That little online hobby you all laughed at? It's the future. While you were all clinging to handshakes and corner offices, I was building an empire that will actually last." My phone buzzed again. The integration team needed decisions on which Bennett stores to close first. "You should go," I said. "The country club's new membership committee meets today. Lots of changes coming." She paused at the door. "Will you still come to Sunday dinner?" I thought about all those dinners spent being belittled, dismissed, mocked. "No," I said finally. "But you're welcome to schedule a meeting with my assistant if you'd like to discuss business." After she left, I stood at the window, watching the city that had once belonged to Bennett Luxury Group and now answered to Nova Digital. My empire, built one click at a time while they laughed at my little website. Kate appeared with the afternoon reports. Your father's lawyer called again, and the SEC wants to schedule another interview with Nathan. Schedule them both, I said. And Kate? Send my mother a gift basket. Something from our new luxury online collection. Last season style, of course. She needs to learn about digital shopping somehow. Because success isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about teaching them how right you've been all along. Even if the lesson costs them everything they thought they owned. The Bennett family legacy would survive, just not as they'd imagined it. Instead of handshakes in corner offices, it would thrive in algorithms and innovation. And the daughter they dismissed as playing businesswoman, she wasn't playing anymore.